Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Lincoln Clay coming back at you with another GT Sport Daily Race. This is stream number 14. Let's all be one cohesive unit. Hit the like button, help spread the content to a wider audience. I would appreciate it. Make sure you hit the bell icon so you can stay notified whenever I put out new content. I would appreciate that as well. And if you are a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. I hope you are enjoying the content. And so I just qualified for this race. And this is on Dragontail Sea Side. And as you can see, I qualified 10th for this race. And which I'm not terribly surprised, but you know, going with this 10th place start, I did believe that, you know, maybe I can get into the top 5 because this is one of my better tracks. It's a high speed track, but it is one of my better tracks. I do really like this track. There are some areas where you can really carry some speed through the curves. So I had my mind made up from the get-go that I was going to be aggressive in this race. And so as you can see right here at the start of this race, somebody must have dropped out because I qualified 10th for this race. But as you can see, I'm starting in the 9th position. And so naturally, this is the warm up, get the tires warmed up, you know, get ready for the race. We're coming up on the start finish line, you know, and the race is going to start, you know, pretty much at any second. So now the race is underway. I'm in the middle of the pack, and I knew coming up to this first corner right here, this first sharp corner, well, actually it's a snake curve right here, it was going to be crucial. And I got through this corner pretty good, little bit of bumping, swapping, that kind of thing, but I still got through that corner pretty good, you know. And as you can see, I'm up in 7th place right now. You know, I'm still with the pack, and as you can see, some other cars are having problems, cones flying everywhere, cars bumping everybody, but I was still able to get through there pretty good. And that was another thing that I decided that I needed to do, was that I needed to get to the front half of the pack where the better drivers were, because as you can see, the back half of the pack, they're all knocking each other all over the place. There's some, you know, not so good drivers back there. So I had my mind made up. I needed to stay with the front of the pack. And then right there, I accidentally clipped that car. I didn't mean it. I clipped him. I don't know if he hit the wall or not, but you can see he went loose for a second. And you know, even if it was even though it wasn't deliberate, I was able to slip up, you know, and move up a position. So now, as you can see, in all that aftermath, I managed to get out of that in 3rd place. But unfortunately, by this time, I had accumulated some penalties. I think I had accumulated like 7 seconds worth of penalties. And with this race only getting underway, there was no way I was going to stop and serve those penalties at that moment, because this was a 10-lap race. And for this race, tire wear and fuel consumption were active in this race. So everybody was going to have to pit at least once. And so, you know, with me being this close to the front 3 cars, there was no way I was going to serve that penalty, especially with that many cars behind me. If I stopped to serve that penalty right now, I would fall so far back that I would never get back to the front of the pack. So I definitely wanted to stay with the lead cars. And you know, you see I turned into a ghost right there. I was able to slip back into 3rd place. And you know, again, you know, and then right there, I actually slipped into 2nd place for a second right there. The 3rd place car went off the track. The 1st place car, I didn't believe I was really going to be able to catch him. The one thing I did know about this point in the race, that when I was on, that's a terrible mental mistake right there, and I almost paid for it because you see all these other cars are breathing down my neck. Fortunately, I was able to hang on to the second spot. And you can see right there, that is a critical snake curve right there. As you can see, my car went airborne when I went over the rumble strips. But getting back what I was saying about when I had the first place car within my sights, I didn't really believe that I was going to catch him. But what I did know is that when I was in fourth place, the 3 cars in front of me, all of them had penalties too. And look at that right there. Another mental error. And this time I did pay for it. I fell all the way back into 5th place. That was a big time mental error. And I think I was just trying to be over aggressive, I came in through the corner nice and tight, but I let off the brakes, too soon because I was trying to get good exit speed, and I was still carrying a good amount of, speed into that curve, and I ended up paying for it. And now here I am in 5th place trying to fight my way back. And, but again, what I was originally trying to say about the cars that were in front of me, all of them had penalties as well. So that was another reason for me to stay with the pack, because the cars in front of me all had penalties as well. So I definitely didn't want to slow down and serve those penalties and lose those lead cars and then fall back into the back of the pack where all the amateur drivers are at, just knocking each other all over the place. Because if I get caught up in that log jam, I would never be able to get this close to them again. So at this point, even with a couple of mental mistakes that I've made, I'm running a tremendous race, because I started this race in 9th place and I got as high as 2nd place. And I'm in 4th place here. By this time, I think we've already done a couple of laps around this track, and I think by this time I have demonstrated that if I can keep my focus and maintain nice tight lines and get good exit speed, that I could definitely be competitive. And as you can see, that car right there, he made a huge mistake. He hit the wall. I nearly hit the wall, but he hit the wall, and that allowed me to get back into 3rd place. And so now, again, we got a 2nd place car here that I believe had a penalty. So again, the goal was to just keep him in my sights, and if wait for him to make a mistake, or see if he would slow down and serve the penalty, that would give me an opportunity to get past him. So coming to this corner, this is one of the corners where you can carry a lot of speed, but this is one of the corners where you don't want to brake too hard, or you're going to lose some time, but you don't want to carry too much speed in there. So that was one of those corners where I would slam on the brakes and then let off the brakes and let the car coast through those corners. And then coming into this corner right here, this is one of those corners where you can carry a lot of speed in there, but then you suddenly got to get on the brakes because you got a real hard corner right here. And so this car right here that just passed me, the number 3 car, I had been caught in a couple of battles with him. He was a really good driver, and I actually bumped him a couple of times, and I think he knew that I didn't mean it, because I was carrying too much speed when I rear-ended him a couple of times. I was carrying too much speed. Fortunately for me, he didn't try to retaliate. I think this is one instant right there. You see I bumped him right there. His back end came loose. It knocked him wide. I was able to get up underneath him. That's not the way I would have wanted to pass somebody. I would have preferred to do it clean, but he was a little hard on the brakes, and it caused me to rear end him. And so right here you see we got a little battle going on. And that right there, that curve, that little slide right there, I paid for it. It allowed him to dip up underneath me. He was able to take the 3rd position back. And so, but coming into these corners right here, I was taking tighter lines. It was just a matter of me getting good exit speed and not getting on the gas too soon and going wide. So that was definitely one of the things that helped me when I was battling with the 3rd place car, is that I was, whenever I wasn't making mental mistakes, that I was taking nice tight lines going into the curves, especially this curve right here. This is the one where I said I suddenly slammed on the brakes. Then you can see I let off the brakes. I slid a little bit right there. That's because I was trying too hard to keep him in my sights, because I didn't want him to get away, because again, by this time I knew that I could catch this guy, because I had passed him once or twice already. I was taking better lines than him. I was taking tighter lines than him. So I knew that if I stayed focused, stayed nice and tight, that I could catch him. And eventually I could make a move on him. So, you know, but again, he was a good driver, and he kind of forced my hand anyway. You know, even if I didn't want to be aggressive, I was going to have to be aggressive in order to keep him in my sights, because he was a good driver. And so, again, you know, I'm coming through this corner, and I think one of these corners, that one right there, that was actually, I got through that corner pretty good. And this corner right here, coming through that snake curve, I think one of these corners, you're going to see that my car is going to nearly go airborne right there. You know, skipped a little bit, scraped the wall. You can see that spark there. Amazing detail with this game to have that kind of detail. I scraped that wall, and I mean, I just brushed that wall. So fortunately, I didn't really lose any speed when I scraped that wall. I was still able to carry some speed. And right there, that was pretty good. That was a pretty good exit coming out of the corner, because I came close to the rumble strips, but didn't go on the rumble strips. So it was a pretty good exit. But he must, you know, took the corners better than me, because he does have a little bit of distance on me right now. I still have him in my sights, but he does have a little bit of distance on me. You know, I think at this point in the race, tire wear might be coming into play, because again, fuel consumption, tire wear were active for this race, so it was definitely going to come into play. You know, that corner right there was definitely one of my better corners right there, because it just felt so natural to carry that speed into that wide corner. And then I think we right there we had a yellow flag, because I think somebody stopped on the course, and we had a yellow flag and it was no passing. And again, coming through these curves right here, I'm carrying a lot of speed, getting ready to go into one of the sharp corners right here, and got through that one okay, you know, no problems. A little bit of sliding, like I said. At this point, tire wear is starting to come into play. You know, I got through that corner nice and tight. Well, right there you see, you know, a little bit of airborne, not too much, but more importantly, I avoided the wall. I didn't hit the wall. He's still in my sights, as you can see, so I still haven't given up on catching him yet. At this point, you know, I'm still thinking, I still believe that I could catch him. That was very close right there. And now I'm going into the pits, because at this point I only had enough gas to do one more lap. And if I would have tried to go another lap, I could have run the risk of running out of gas right in the middle of the track, and the race would have been over. And so I'm taking in fuel right now. There's 4 laps left in the race. At this point, it's 6 laps. There's 4 laps left in the race. I took on enough gas to be able to do 4.5 laps, because not only did I want to have enough gas to finish this race, I wanted to have enough gas that I could be aggressive, because you know, again, I have mentioned in the past that fuel consumption comes into play in this race. Not only does fuel consumption come into play, fuel mixture comes into play. And I've said it before, you can go with a lean mixture, which will give you better gas mileage, but you're going to lose power, which means they would have, you know, the lead cars would have gotten away from me if I would have went with a lean mixture. So I had to stay with a power mixture. I had to stay with the power settings, so I can keep my foot on the gas and try to keep these guys in my sights. And that's why I went ahead and put 4.5 laps, so to speak, worth of gas in my car when I made that pit stop, because not only did I want to make sure I had enough gas to finish the race, I wanted to make sure that I could stay aggressive while trying to finish the race, because slipstreaming your cars in front of you, that actually saves you gas. Some of the better YouTubers right here, well, I made a mistake right there. Got a little fortunate. There was asphalt right there, no dirt, no sand. Otherwise, I wouldn't have went off the track. But I was talking about how other YouTubers talk about the fuel consumption with the power and the lean mixture. And right there, you see my car went airborne, and thank goodness I didn't lose it. You know, again, some of the other YouTubers talk about the fuel mixture, and slipstreaming other cars is very crucial to them, because not only, you know, it helps you close in on the car that's in front of you, and it saves you gas, you know, while you're at it. So with the bigger YouTubers, the Key 25, Z28 Gaming, some of the bigger YouTubers that are really good at this game, slipstreaming your opponent, and fuel consumption, fuel mixture is a big part of their strategies. And so now I'm in third place, and I think what happened at this point is I think somebody dropped out of the race. I think there was a red Mitsubishi that was in second place. I think he dropped out of the race. I don't know if he lost connection or just for whatever reason dropped out of the race. And then the Aston Martin, the green Aston Martin that I was chasing this whole time, he moved into the second position. So now I'm in third. And at this point, I don't see any cars in sight. I was looking at the map, and there wasn't any cars behind me for quite a ways, and I'm no longer seeing the second place car in front of me. So at this point, I was actually thinking about slowing down and take the penalty. But just when I started thinking about taking the penalty, as you'll probably see here pretty soon, I saw I had the second place car in my sights again. So my strategy went from thinking about serving the penalty to trying to see if I can reel this guy in, because even if I had a penalty to serve, I wanted to prove to myself that I could still get a second place finish. And there he is right there, the second place car. So now my game plan changed. Instead of slowing down to serve that 7-second penalty, and right there, that was a huge mental mistake right there, and I nearly paid for it. And that was the result of seeing that second place car within my sights and believing that I could catch him. And so, I didn't give enough brake going into that sharp corner. I let off the brakes, and it caused me to go off the road. But I was still fortunate that I was able to keep him in my sights. And that was another mistake right there, the way the car hopped across the rumble strips. But at this point, I'm still thinking, I think at this point we got about 2 laps to go, and I'm still believing that I can catch the second place car. Even though I know because of the penalty that I have to serve, I'm still going to end up finishing in third place anyway. But I wanted to prove to myself that I could catch the second place car, that I could actually get into second place and cross the finish line in second place. Because as you saw a couple of times in this race, I did get, a lot of slippage right there, and holy smokes, was I really lucky right there. You seen the car go off the road, the dirt kick up, the back end come loose. I was able to save it. I was so fortunate right there, because it wouldn't have there's the second place car right there. So when I lost the car right there, it wouldn't have affected me finishing up third place, but it nearly cost me being able to catch the second place car. But now you can see that he is within my sights. Even though it doesn't look like it right here, he is in my sights. I'm being more and more aggressive. You can see it right there. I'm actually starting to close in on him, and I don't know why I all of a sudden caught him. I don't know if he made a mistake or if he decided to serve his penalty. But for whatever reason, I was able to catch up to him. So now at this point, I'm trying to be aggressive again, and right there I made another mental mistake, and I was fortunate that it didn't cost me. I lost a little bit of distance, but I still believe that I could reel him in, because throughout this race I have shown that I can take tighter lines, that I was able to take better corners than him. So I figured I'd be able to make that ground up in the curves right there. And as you can see, he actually went through those corners somewhat slow, and it set me up to try to reel this guy in. And right here, this is one of the corners where I could carry a lot of speed right there, and boy, did I make another mental error. But he also made a mistake right there too, so I didn't lose any ground. But the sad part about that is that if I would not have made that mistake, and I would have made a nice tight entry and was able to get out with good exit speed, I would have caught him right then and there. But I still, because of that mental error that I made right there, I'm still fighting him and still having to chase him down, through the high speed part of the tracks. But no less, as you can see, I am closing in on him. And I believe this is one of the areas where I felt like I could make my move, because I had nice tighter lines right there. I nearly had him right there. I wasn't able to get him, but I knew I had to stay on him and just stay with him through these high speed curves right here. As you can see, I'm right on him. And he made a huge mistake right there. He hit the wall, and I was able to get past him. And for that part, you know, if I really wanted to, because I think we were on the last lap, I think this is the 10th lap right there, I could have not looked back. I could have just went ahead and shot across that finish line, but I think if you don't stop, they'll tack more time on. So you'll see coming down the straightaway right here, I had second place locked up, but I slowed down and you can see, shoot, he shot right past me and he took second place. I slowed down to serve that penalty. It was a 7-second penalty. If I did not slow down and serve that penalty, I feared that not only would they tack on the 7 seconds, but they might tack on more time because I chose to cross the finish line without serving that penalty. And so that was a bittersweet race. You know, if it weren't for the penalties, there's my second place finish, but I had to slow down, serve the penalties, and it was enough for the second place car to get past me, and he finished up in second place. But he did run a good race. He was a pretty good driver. It was you know, there were moments where I was out on the island by myself, but there was moments when that race was competitive. And but all in all, to start in 10th position on the grid, you know, and then to start in 9th position in the actual race because someone dropped out was huge. So it made me believe that I could be definitely be competitive. So, but that's the video, and thanks for checking it out.